Dear students, good evening. Welcome to Law Excellence IAS. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 24th April 2020. The today's articles are divided into two programs, Deep and TNA. Deep is the editorial programs of the Hindu, and TNA is about the news analysis. The respective page numbers in Hyderabad edition are mentioned over here, and you can go through them. The first article is COVID 19 paradox in South Asia. Now, most of the articles are related to COVID 19. In this context, this article is trying to look at what are the paradoxes that are visible in infection spread and death rate in South Asia in comparison to Western Europe and United States of America. So, we are trying to bring in comparisons and making some reasons or analysis why this is happening. Now there is a puzzling situation. You know that close to 23.4% of the world population lives in South Asia, but the number of cases are accounted here are less than 1.25%, and deaths are less than 0.5% of the total COVID 19 infections. And the next, if we compare with the industrialized countries, one third of the world's poor live in South Asia. Added to that, their per capita income is 16% of that world's average. It means these countries are not just populated, they are also poor. The next part is the severe infection rates exist in Europe, America. And then even in the East Asia, we see higher infection rate, though the death rates are relatively less. So what might be the reason for this? Why we are seeing such a condition in South Asia? It is not just in the case of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Maldives, everywhere the infection rate is low. So what can be the probable explanations for this? The first is statistics. Now the total number of infections, are they reflected in India? Are they reflected in South Asia? Because if the infections have to be reflected, the most important thing is testing. So, are we not doing the sufficient tests to identify the depth of the problem? This is the first question. So, underreporting, is it happening in the South Asian countries due to lack of sufficient resources? And the next part is lockdown. Most of the South Asian countries, keeping the Pakistan aside, have initiated the lockdown immediately after seeing the first few cases. Because of the lockdown, you know that social distancing is practiced and the people haven't moved from their houses. But lockdown itself is not a perfect explanation. You know that WHO itself has stated that it is not just defensive, we also need to play offensive against the COVID 19. Defensive means lockdown, offensive means rapid testing, treatment, etc. Whatever we talk about, three T's: trace, treat, and test. So, this three T's pattern we have to follow. So, in this case, if we go for the slum dwelling population of India, maintaining social distance is almost impossible over there. Obviously, we have to expect a greater spread there, but we are not seeing that. It means that lockdown cannot be a complete explanation for this particular situation. Then, what else can be? Then we have BCG vaccine, especially in South Asian countries, to protect ourselves against this particular tuberculosis. BCG vaccine is made mandatory. So, because of this BCG vaccine, we have got some kind of cross immunity to COVID 19. This is the next question which we talk about. And added to that, being a tropical country, we are highly susceptible to malaria. Every one of us now and then might have got infected with malaria. Because of malaria, we got treated with hydrochloroquine. So, do we have natural resistance because of this treatment to COVID 19? These are the things which are being explored. Whatever be the case, the lives and livelihoods are shattered like never before. Who will get worst affected? The people who are migrant labor, the people who are living on day to day wages. These people are going to now do not have economic support to thrive themselves. If this pandemic continues like this, lockdowns continue like this, especially in the developing and underdeveloped world, people will die more of starvation rather than of COVID 19. This is what is the concern expressed by many of the social scientists. So we need to make a plan to lift the lockdown, and we ensuring for ensuring the production and protecting the livelihoods. And in this case, the fourth thing which is not covered in this article is herd immunity. So, does India need to plan for herd immunity? Herd immunity means as antibodies develop across the majority section of the population against this infection after their exposure, then if majority gets immune, the entire society gets immune. So, let's take young people, though they get the infection, it is not very serious. So 80% of the people will remain asymptomatic. So though they are asymptomatic, they develop something called as antibodies to the infection. So these antibodies makes them immune to this infection at a later date. And increase in antibodies at the societal level, it leads to something called as herd immunity. So is herd immunity is the natural protector to India in the long run? This is what is the thing which we need to explore. So this is article in nutshell. What are the things in this article? Though South Asia is populated and poor, it do not have the sufficient number of infections, which clearly explains a reason. Either it is due to undertesting or due to lockdown or due to various other interventions that have happened over this population like BCG vaccines or anti-malarial treatments the society was exposed to. The next article, it is about rapid failures. Now, antibody testing kits we are importing from China and Korea. So these antibody testing kits are rapid testing kits, how safe they are, how foolproof they are. Now, normally the COVID-19 is tested through two types. One is rapid testing kits we have. The second is reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. For this reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, the doctors will take nasal swab, and for rapid test kits, they take a blood sample, and in this blood sample, they test the people for antibodies. Now, the question is, does all the people have the antibodies? Now, healthy people develop antibodies against the infection. And some people who have got suppressed immunities, etc., they may not develop any antibodies to the infection. So it means, though they have the infection, that infection may not appear when the immune system is not appropriate. These kind of cases will never be tested by the rapid testing kits which we are importing from various countries. Now let us see the classical case of this. The first is, the rapid testing kit is based on the antibody test. So it is based on antibody test. The RT-PCR, that is reverse transcriptase PCR test, it is the swab test which tries to take into the viral genomes or viral genome is reproduced and tested. So that's why RT-PCR is more a better test. But however, it takes a lot of time to get the test results. So that's why to test in the community, people are going for antibody tests. Now, what is the story of these antibody tests? They are high on specificity but low on sensitivity. Let us understand high on specificity, low on sensitivity. To understand this, let us take this particular table. Now, a patient who has the condition, he tests positive, then he is called true positive. But he has the condition, but he tested negative. It means it's a wrong negative, that's called false negative. When true positives all are identified and false negatives are absent, then we can say the test has the higher sensitivity. Now, on the other side, when someone do not have the disease, if they are testing positive, they do not have the conditions but they are testing positive, it is called false positive. And not having the disease and testing negative is called true negative. So in this case, this column is considered as high specificity. This column is considered as high sensitivity. Now, the present tests, these are high on specificity. It means they are able to detect the positive cases. But however, low on sensitivity. What is happening what is low on sensitivity means the number of false negative cases are also high. It means though they have had the disease, they are unable to detect them. And that means many of the people who have the disease may be concluded as negative through this. So how we can best use these diseases as these tests as we can best use them for surveillance testing. The mass surveillance in red zones, for this we can use this particular test. So the rapid test kits, these are high on specificity, low on sensitivity. Why they are low on sensitivity? We are getting more false negative cases. It means the people who have got the disease are not getting identified completely by this particular rapid test kits. So another challenge which we are facing is reinfection. To what extent we get the protection from reinfection is the major challenge. In China, the worry is the people who got infected and got treated, they are getting the infection again. If that is a case, then it is going to be very challenging to be controlled. So these are the points we look at this. Next is protection for the protectors. This article, the healthcare workers, these are facing various kinds of attacks, discrimination. So how to handle this? Now let give you a heart-wrenching story of a doctor in Tamil Nadu. He is a very reputed neurosurgeon. He owns his own hospital and he was treating the COVID-19 patients. And in the process, he got infected and died at the early age of 55 years. He was buried and given a kind of honorable exit from this world. People did not allow him or allow his body to be buried in their particular area. And in some places, house owners are not allowing the doctors to enter the house. Why all these are happening? The major reason is lack of sensitivity, and the second, the anxiety surrounding the disease. After that, some kind of fear and ignorance is a major reason, especially when this particular disease is getting communalized. Remember, after certain meeting in Delhi, the disease started getting a communal color. Because of this, a kind of stigma and isolation has happened. Though people from that community did not want to come forward and report themselves to the officials to get tested. And once this particular communalization has happened, this stigma and isolation have deepened, the situations have become worse. Remember, whenever we have this negative messaging with regard to a particular disease, once we create something called fear psychosis or discrimination or stigmatization about a disease, negative messaging, fear psychosis, discrimination, and stigmatization surrounding a disease, the situation will turn worse. So, in the place of this, we need to give education and we need to be compassionate. So, when we take up a society like this, non discriminate, in those cases, the fight against the disease can be much effective. So, anyhow, the government took a new step. Union Cabinet passed an ordinance which has added a punishment of 7 years of imprisonment for the people who have attacked on the doctors. To that extent, Epidemic Disease Act 1897 was amended. Next, troubled waters are fishing in troubled waters during pandemic. Again, China not only gave the COVID-19 to the world, so there is other international disputes which China is involved with and it is racking up at this moment. You know that all the countries in the world are busy in fighting COVID-19. So that's why they are not very much concerned about their border disputes or international politicking. Probably China is taking this as an advantage to spread its might and to solve its existing disputes. So in this context, the most important dispute is South China Sea dispute. Here on Spratly Islands, etc., there are a few set of islands. There is a dispute which is running between Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, China. So in this context, China claims the territorial rights on these particular islands. So in the midst of COVID-19 crisis, the China is trying to take an advantage of the situation. That is what is the article is talking about. So now here let us see what is South China Sea. Now this entire thing, 1/3 of the global merchandise traffic or maritime trade, it flows through this South China Sea. So it means strategically important this South China Sea is. And the second thing is, along with the strategic importance, there are rich oil reserves in this. So that's why China is very much interested over this. So, Paracel Islands, Spartley Islands, which are two sets of islands where the controversy is very high. So, here China has made a 9-degree line and it claims the sovereignty over the entire area in this particular 9-degree line. Now, the other countries like Philippines, and then we have this particular Indonesia, Vietnam. These countries also claim the territorial rights over these particular islands. So, in this context, America is coming in support of these Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia. Here, Philippines was dilly-dallying, but Vietnam was very steadfast in countering the China's territorial claims. And at the same time, Indonesia went ahead and it has declared northern aspects of South China Sea, which is or northern boundary of Indonesia in South China Sea, as Natuna Sea. It has renamed it as Natuna Sea. So, China has objections to this Natuna Sea, renaming it as Natuna Sea, and Indonesia making territorial claims. Now, China is or else the fishing boats of Vietnam were attacked by the Chinese vessels in the Spratly Islands, and similar case with the Indonesian fishing boats, and maritime exercises were conducted over here. All these do not bring in good respect for China, and China will be much castigated by the world if it is trying to use this situation to its advantage. And Vietnam is particularly an eyesore to China because Vietnam from the Trump era and before that Obama era has moved close to United States of America. And United States of America freedom of navigation exercises it is conducting in South China Sea, and Vietnam is a great supporter of these freedom of navigation exercises. So China is very much worried about Vietnam over here. So anyhow, when the world is fighting about COVID-19, it is not wise for the China to take up these particular issues. That's how it can be stated as. The next article, how will India emerge out of lockdown? So it means how shall we get out of the lockdown is the question over here. So what all the issues, how shall we bring in welfare, how shall we feed the millions of the people in this country, how shall we use PDS, MG Nariga back, how shall we strengthen our healthcare sector for facing these kind of challenges in the future. This all been discussed over here. Let us see the highlights of this article. You know that many of the people are vulnerable now. So for these vulnerable people, to serve them the food, we have the National Food Security Act. So this is served through or executed through India's PDS system. Now, NFSA is meant to serve two-thirds of the population. Now, what the author suggests is this NFSA has to be expanded. It has to be made universal to serve every person who is in need of this food. So, the public distribution system shall be made universal. And the next is MG Narega. So MG Narega, the biggest challenge is, can we bring these people together to give them the work, which is may not be possible now. But however, we can give one or the other work with maintenance of the social distance in the rural areas. Then how to give them the payments? There are many models which are being brought in. If you take Odisha, people are being paid through the panchayat the system. So the similar kind of system, successful models where payments can be dispersed, can be initiated. And another part of this is providing of the relief to millions and jobless is an important thing. How to provide for the relief? The 0.5% of total GDP shall be kept aside to provide for the relief to the people who are stuck here and there with regard to COVID-19. And the next is another solution which has been brought in by the government for contract tracing and for identifying the people for quarantine. It is publicizing an app which is called Arogya Setu app. If this app has to be installed, you know that we need a smartphone. How many people in India have the smartphone? Less than 1/5. It means less than 20%. And second, whenever there is a crisis across the world, the countries try to centralize their power. Or else, after every crisis, a dictator grew in the world. In this context, mass surveillance can be made possible through kind of these apps. The governments, state institutions, are becoming more powerful like never before with the information of the citizens, with the surveillance tools, with the use of technology like these apps, that is the concern expressed. The next part of this is for reasons better known, India neglected its healthcare sector. So it is the time we have to spend around 10% of our total budget of our GDP on the healthcare sector. And we also have to develop a proper plan to our healthcare model for India. Now, if you take in India, the healthcare is becoming more and more expensive, and it is because of the private sector. And India is promoting a private insurance to give health access to private sector. Now, if you talk about various healthcare programs, Ayushman Bharat like, they will provide you with the health insurance where you can go to a private hospital, get yourself treated. In this case, in Japan, wherever the private insurance and private healthcare is there, the government closely monitors the healthcare costs. It restricts the hospitals to raise the cost of the treatments beyond a particular point. Now, if you go to Germany, it also has insurance, but however, its insurance is social insurance. It means which is a collective insurance. It is not private insurance. So either we have to go for national health service like UK, where all the healthcare will be taken care by the government, or social insurance model of Germany, or private insurance with strict regulation as like in Japan. Either of these models can be appropriate for India. And the next, as there is economic slowdown expected, how India can revive its economy. India can spend more and more money on building the healthcare infrastructure. The biggest strength of India now with regard to healthcare infrastructure is the human resources it possesses. So the frontline human resources, either it is ASHA workers, or auxiliary nurse midwives, primary healthcare centers. We have huge manpower, but we do not have the necessary physical infrastructure or necessary training for these health workers to make them or to put them as frontline warriors against COVID-19. So providing better training, building the physical infrastructure is essential. So we can use the existing situation to revive the economy by spending more on the healthcare infrastructure. These are the various things which are being suggested. The next part of the article says the model shows deaths cases rising over the next week. Now, how United States, etc., various countries stated that next 2 weeks is going to be a horrible for America, or next 2 weeks is going to be horrible for Italy. The number of deaths are expected to rise. So, developed a mathematical model for that, mathematical model. So, India is also using the same. Next is RBI to restart Operation Twist to manage yields. This Operation Twist is a critical topic which we need to understand. So be ready with your open minds to understand Operation Twist. Now, essentially Operation Twist is nothing but the RBI buying long-term G-Secs and selling the short-term G-Secs. So don't worry about what all these are. Let us see this way. First, RBI has decreased the interest rates. It means banks also have to decrease the interest rates. So RBI, if interest rates are decreased, the banks also have to decrease the interest rates, and then customer has to get the low interest rate and he shall be ready to invest. This investment has to create demand, and this demand has to fuel the production and growth. This is what called monetary transmission. So whenever RBI eases the monetary policy, this is how the monetary transmission has to happen. Is the monetary transmission is happening this way? No. So even the RBI is decreasing the interest rates, the banks are not doing that. Now, why the banks are not doing that? The banks wants to attract the deposits. Let's take, if I want to make a deposit like 10-year deposit, then banks wants to lure me. There is a competition among the banks. So how the banks can lure me? Offering higher interest rate to me. When they take the deposits on higher interest rate, obviously they have to lend this money at an higher interest rate itself. So it means the higher interest rates are existing because of high rate of interest on the deposits on which banks are taking. So the RBI, whatever efforts which it is putting to decrease the interest rates and to fuel the economic growth is not happening in return. Here RBI has played a nice plot. It is borrowed from United States of America. What it stated is, let's take deposits to the banks have to be discouraged. How are deposits can be discouraged? Let's take G-Secs are there. Now these G securities are government securities. 10-year, let's take some long-term 10-year security is there. Now this security is said to be the most safest. Now the RBI wants to decrease the yield on this security. How RBI will decrease the yield on security? The banks are always interested to buy the G-Secs. Now RBI will not make these G-Secs available for the banks. So these all G-Secs will be bought by RBI itself. How RBI buys them? By printing money. All the long-term G-Secs which are released by government will be bought by RBI. So it means whatever the money government need, it is coming by RBI by buying the G-Secs of the government securities. So it means whatever the funds the banks wants to invest on G-Secs, they are no more invested. Are those funds available with the banks or not? So when the funds are available with the banks, obviously they will be more interested to lend. Yes or no? And then banks will not be desperate to get the deposits. Now the bargaining power of the banks will increase with deposits and they offer the lesser interest rates. So banks are getting the funds from the depositors at the lesser interest rate, and then banks money which they have is not getting into G-Secs because RBI is buying all of them away. And in this case, the bank's surplus liquidity will go at a lower interest rate to the people. So that's how monetary transmission can happen. So in the first step, what the government is doing, it is buying long-term G-Secs which the banks were interested to buy. Now the second thing, as RBI is printing money and buying the G-Secs, it means money supply in the economy is increasing or not? So as RBI is buying the G-Secs, money supply is increasing. So how the RBI has to suck out this money supply? It will sell short-term G-Secs. So it will sell the short-term G-Secs which are there with it and sucks the money which is there in excess in the economy. That way it reduces the inflation. So that's why buying the long-term G-Secs and selling the short-term G-Secs, when we do these two operations together, this is what we call it as Operation Twist. Now, thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay home. Thank you very much. All the best.